欢迎各位来宾回到2020 APEC 跨域创新生态系国际论坛。这个下午我们将带来3场精彩的座谈会，以协同创新、技术价值、跨域平台为3大主轴，发掘跨域创新的生态系最佳实务案例，以及了解这些典范企业成功创新升级的关键要素。The first topic goes to navigating the industry disruption and business transformation through collaborative innovation. 首先，第一个主题为透过协同创新改变商业模式，扭转产业形态。Please welcome the moderator, Dr. Hongqi Lai, the Chief Strategy Officer of Center of Innovation and Synergy for Intelligent Home and Living Technology, National Taiwan University. 让我们掌声欢迎主持人，国立台湾大学智慧生活科技整合与创新研究中心赖宏志策略长，欢迎。Now, please welcome the panelists, Ms. Vivian Zhang, the COO of BlueX. 让我们掌声欢迎维新网蒋维瑜营运长 ，Mr. Ye Xun Wang, the Chairman of Creative Tech Textile. 陈家科坊王业勋董事长，欢迎董事长。Mr. Brian Lin, the CEO of O Plus Smart Tech. 欧家智能林俊慧执行长。Mr. Leo Peng, the Assistant General Manager, 和秦 Industry. 和秦公司彭金良副总经理，掌声欢迎以上的与谈人。Now, ladies and gentlemen, I turn the floor over to Dr. Lai. 有请。
谢谢司仪。首先
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome everybody from all sectors to our panel discussion this afternoon. I would like to thank the Small and Medium Enterprises Administration of the Ministry of Economic Affairs. I'm very happy to moderate this session. Today, we're going to be talking about navigating the industry disruption and business transformation through collaborative innovation. We've invited 4 benchmark enterprises to share with us their experiences, and time is very limited, so we will focus on collaboration and innovation. Before we proceed to the discussions, I would like to first briefly share my thoughts about this topic. The environment, the world actually is changing very, very fast. And in the future, this will be a more and more disconnected world. This means that after 1, 2, 3, it's not necessarily 4, 5, 6. Actually, it can be ABC. So if ABC follows 1, 2, 3, then what follows ABC might not necessarily be DEF. There might be other characters following DEF or ABC. So it is actually very difficult for us to grasp the future by our own sole power. That means it's more and more difficult to predict the future. So there are no future gurus that can dictate what would happen in the world in the future. So we believe that innovation is no longer the sole business of a single company, nor a single supply chain, nor even a single industrial cluster. In the future, collaboration, cross-sector cooperation will be more and more important to create a win-win situation. Therefore, this afternoon, we would like to focus on collaborative innovation. We would like to focus on cross-industry cooperation. And we are very happy to have 4 companies with us. They cover from the air to the land to the sea. We will have speakers from the freight industry, from ocean freight industry. We have industries in the textile sector. We have companies from the vintage car industry. And we will also have a company that more or less integrates everything together. So we will first invite the speakers from these companies to introduce their companies to you in around 5 minutes. They will talk about how they can cooperate with different sectors and showcase their strengths. And after their brief presentations, we will open the floor. But before that, we will first ask our distinguished panelists several questions about collaborative work, about cross-industry cooperation. We will ask about how they actually work with other partners, and then we will open the floor for discussion. So that's my brief introduction to this panel. Time is very limited, so I would like to begin this panel discussion by inviting our 4 speakers to introduce their companies to all of us. We would also like to hear from you what you have been doing in cross-sectoral innovation. First of all, Ms. Vivian Jiang, who is from BlueX. Vivian will share with us her company. Let's welcome Vivian.
Hi everyone, my name is Vivian Chang and I'm the COO of BlueX. I'd like to first give you a little bit background about myself. I moved back here from Silicon Valley in 2016. I'm a serial entrepreneur. After graduating from Stanford, I started a company in the baby and car seat stroller space called Orbit Baby and sold it successfully in 2011. I went on to advise and be the head of marketing for numerous startups in Silicon Valley. And in 2016, I moved back to Taiwan and started my second business in the digital athletic space. We recently sold the app, and then now I'm COO of BlueX. I'd like to give you a little bit of background about what BlueX does, and then participate in the panel. When you look at shipping goods from one country to another, it all starts at the top of the funnel, which is a container. And that container gets shipped usually across the ocean, and along the way, it touches many services, such as warehousing, trucking, customs, and insurance. And in fact, if you look at this market, 90% of global shipping is done via the ocean. It's very likely that the clothes you're wearing, the food you just ate, was shipped somewhere on a container. And this amounts to about $7 trillion of goods. However, there's been a low return on invested capital for these carriers, only at about 2.6%. And the interesting thing is, if you look at the concentration of this volume, it's going through the top 5 carriers, and it's increased over the last 20 years. But even with the advent of the internet and cloud computing, believe it or not, this industry has seen very little innovation in the last 60 years. One ocean shipment can take over 24 emails, many days, hundreds of pages of paperwork, and many phone calls. In fact, when we talk to some shippers, they still refer to the paper to find out what the daily rates are. However, we have seen some carriers who have innovated, especially in Europe, and they have actually invested a huge amount of money into technology. And in addition to assets there, they've actually invested into physical assets, meaning they've bought warehouses, they've bought trucks, and we call these asset-heavy ocean carriers. And what you'll find, though, is that their market cap to EBITDA ratio is about 4 times. If you look at the non-digitized carriers, their ratio is a lot lower. And why is that? Why haven't these carriers digitized yet? Well, it does require a lot of money, and it also requires a DNA that they might not have. They might not be able to build a lot of these digital capabilities in-house. This is where BlueX comes in. What we're building is the world's leading freight commerce platform, and we're enabling it with 2 main products. The first one is that we build a white label e-commerce solution for carriers. This enables their shippers to book all of their shipments online digitally with live rates, schedules, quotes, and inventory. Believe it or not, a lot of carriers don't have that capability today. Our second product is actually for shippers. We've built an intelligent commerce platform that enables them to purchase value-added services, such as warehousing, trucking, insurance, and customs. These services actually unlock a huge amount of value, not just for BlueX, but for the carriers themselves. In fact, each container starts with the ocean booking, as I mentioned before, but on top of that, there's $2,100 on average in fees per container. A shipper will usually buy insurance. They have to make customs arrangements. They'll have a truck, and they'll usually warehouse their goods. Our model is no different in some ways from the airlines industry back in the 90s. I think everyone here today will use online to book their airplane tickets, and in addition, you might book a hotel or a rental car or an excursion. In much the same way, a shipper today will book an ocean shipment with a carrier, but then on top of that, they'll book a service such as insurance or customs or trucking. As I mentioned, I moved back to Taiwan, and we are based, BlueX is based both in the US, in California, and here in Taiwan. Most of our developers are actually in Taipei, and we're very, very proud to be working with Evergreen Marine. We announced our partnership in February, and since then, we have built for them an exclusive white label platform that they're able to share with their shippers. This platform has guaranteed spot inventory, real-time pricing, and real schedules and rates, all live for them to book at any time. We're very proud to have launched with them, and since launch, we have now over 5,000 customers, and we're also going to be working with other major carriers in Asia. To give you a sense for scale, Evergreen ships 6 million containers a year. That's a huge market and a huge opportunity. And they also ship not only TP from China to the United States, but also all over the world. I hope I can share with you more on the panel, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask me afterwards. Thank you.
好，
非常 Thank you, Vivian, for sharing with us your company. It's really very interesting how BlueX starts from a startup, but is capable of building an open freight commerce platform. So obviously, BlueX is helping one of the largest freight companies in the world, Evergreen, to digitally transform themselves. So even if you're a small and medium enterprise, even if you might be a very young company, however, in the world of digitalization, everybody is equal. I think this is very different from the real economy in the past, different from the conventional economy where, you know, the largest companies are always getting larger and larger, where capital is very intensive. So I think this is a very good indicator, because there will be more and more integration between the real and the virtual world, between capital-intensive and technology-intensive industries. I'm sure that SMEs can play a more and more important role in the future. So thank you, Vivian, for giving us that presentation. Now, we would like to welcome our second company, Mr. Wang Yexun, Chairman of Creative Textile, to share with us the company and its businesses. Let's welcome Mr. Wang.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, I represent the Creative Textile Company. First of all, I'd like to show you a video clip.
The shells are discarded and forgotten. We seek the opportunity to give them new life. Taking a step of faith, we see the earth can be better. Sustainable living brings us to a new chapter for a better wearing experience. Oysters are the delicacy of the sea. Delicious.
谢谢。是的。
My company and my team come from Tainan in southern part of Taiwan. We are the first company in Taiwan to utilize discarded oyster shells to create fabric. We have been exploring overseas markets for 5 years, and we have won Red Dot, ISPO, and IF Design Awards on many occasions. And this year is the first time we bring back our award-winning products to share with our local customers. We are very happy to work with ITRI and Ministry of Economic Affairs to partner with local enterprises. Hopefully, oyster shell-made products will become more popular. In fact, in Taiwan, 160,000 tons of oyster shells are discarded every year along the shores of Taiwan, causing a huge impact on Taiwan's ecological environment. Taiwan is also well known for its recycling of PET bottles. As a result, we've been inspired to combine the PET bottles and oyster shells. By so doing, we will be able to restore the beauty of our shorelines and upgrade the textile industry in Taiwan. Here, as you can see, 160,000 to 180,000 tons of oyster shells are discarded every year. And with these materials, we have come up with seawool yarn. We have also designed and developed smart worm. We no longer need to collect feathers from ducks and other birds to produce down jackets. Now, with smart worm, we are able to produce down jackets. Once again, by working with local partners, we have developed a number of new products. We go beyond textiles. For example, blue dyeing clothes and essential oil soaps. There are many other innovative products that have been developed. In addition, we're going to present these innovative products on the e-commerce platform. Any products that are made from oyster shell powders are welcome to be sold on this Posyman e-commerce platform. This is an opportunity for us to showcase the best products from Taiwan. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Wang, for your introduction. I think from the name of the company, you can see the value proposition proposed by the company, Creative Textile. Creative Textile, as you have seen from the video clip, is specialized in utilizing waste, that is, discarded oyster shells, to produce raw materials, industrial materials for the textile industry, and many new products can be created to serve and meet our daily needs. This is a very good example of the circular economy, and this is also a good example of leveraging resources at sea. Thank you, Chairman Wang, for your sharing. Next, we're going to proceed to the intelligent home sphere. I would like to ask Mr. Brian Lin from O+ Smart Tech Corporation to make the introduction to his company. Dr. Lai, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. O+ Smart Tech, as a company, is a spin-off from a well-known toilet product company, HCG. Our company provides HCG Group provides a lot of quality construction materials for local designers and architects. However, we have become aware of the impact of digital technology, so we think we need to leverage the digital technology to produce even more innovative products. AIoT can help us create e-box, which will be the core of design for intelligent homes. When we design the products, we don't emphasize scales. Rather, we focus on the scenarios where the products can be used. In other words, how we can combine these products with our daily lives at home. As a result, we emphasize that our products are designed for all. They are accessible to all. Everyone of different age groups will be able to utilize our products to enhance the quality of their life. Throughout your different life stage, you will be able to enjoy and benefit from our products. When we make plans, we also take into consideration the features of local construction industry. First of all, safety is our top priority. Secondly, the products must be stable, easy to use, expandable, as well as easy to maintain. In this regard, well, because of the time constraint, I'll show you quickly some scenarios for the usage of our products. In terms of space, we don't want to simply crowd the space with a lot of equipment and appliances. Rather, we have to think about how we can combine the appliances with our daily life and activities. There are many traditional appliances at home. We can digitalize those appliances so that they can be referred to as AIoT products. Therefore, in terms of convenience, safety, enhancement of quality of life, we can provide comprehensive solutions. So this is a diagram to show how we created the ecosystem. At center is the e-box. The e-box is connected to the toilet, the faucet, and kitchen equipment, appliances, etc. We make them idiot-proof because they are now connected to the ecosystem as part of the AIoT ecosystem. These appliances and equipment can be enhanced in terms of their function and quality. As a result, the whole building will be a smart building. When we talked about AIoT in the past, we focused on this is a smart TV, this is a smartphone, smart aircon, but they stood separately from each other. But that's not the whole picture, because when they stand alone by themselves, there's no smart homes. Our specialty, our expertise lies in the fact that we're able to turn switches, faucets, and dehumidifiers, iRobots. All of these appliances can be combined through the e-box, and they can be very helpful and handy in our daily life. We, as a result, have a virtual housekeeper to help us resolve problems we run into on a daily basis. And they can help us to complete the daily chores more efficiently. And voice control will be a key feature. O+ system is compatible to many voice control systems. In addition, a range of products are also combined and incorporated into the ecosystem. Of course, this does not mean that you have to stick with Siri. That means all the family members have to switch to iPhones. No, that's not the case. You can see there are Siri, Alexa, Google Home, and iBaobei from Zhonghua Telecom, a local telecom company. These are platforms which are all compatible to our system. So within one space, you can have different devices using different platforms, and you can continue to interact with each other. In the future, there will be even more data that will be controlled and managed on the cloud. How can we leverage the data to add value? So here's our history. That's the introduction I have for you about O+ Smart Tech. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lin, for your introduction. Smart home is not a new concept to most people. In fact, intelligent home has been a concept that has been promoted in the past 20 years, including the promotion of smart devices and appliances. With advances in science and technology and platform technology, there are more internationally set standards. However, smart home is still far from a reality. But O+ has provided us with an open platform. Home, as a result, provides us a platform where not only hardware facilities are connected, but also the ambience and software and quality of life can all be combined and enhanced. The Internet of Things can be built at home first, starting with the appliances and equipment we are familiar with. I believe this is an important first step. Afterwards, we have to think about how quality of life and experiences can be improved further. The O+ system and solution provide not only an open platform, but also provision of more innovative products in the future. I think later we will have a lot of questions for Mr. Lin to see how collaborative innovation can be made possible through the platform. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Mr. Liu Peng, Assistant General Manager at Heqing Industry, to introduce Heqing Industry. Professor Liao, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Liu Peng. I'm the Assistant General Manager of Heqing Industry. You can see from this photo on the right-hand side, this is Mr. Luo, who is the owner of the company. This car, the red car in the front, is a 2013 Mustang. On the back is the vintage model of Mustang. If you've been to the United States, you probably know that the Mustang is the spirit of U.S. cars. Since its launch in 1965, it's still a coupe style model. When Heqing was established in 2003, our market was basically the U.S. market. 10 years ago, we started to extend into other markets where car have been an important part of their history. How do we enter these markets? Well, in November each year, there will be a big car expo in Las Vegas, and all the cars that are allowed to be shown there are vintage car models. And we receive a lot of support from Ford, so they want us to showcase our products at this expo. So what do we do? Well, we focus on vintage models from 1932 to 1970. We use reverse engineering. Well, you probably know that before the computer came into place, everything was analog. So we use reverse engineering to replicate or to reproduce these products. There are no longer existing modes of these products, so we've been able to provide solutions to vintage car lovers. So through reverse engineering, we will be able to first scan and then mold and then cast into a mold so that we can mass produce these products. We work with various companies. When we were established in 2003, our market capital was 5 million. And by 2016, we have reached 240 million. And we reinvest our revenue. So we're still a SME, however, we work with a lot of mold factories. So they become the shareholder of our company, and after they deduct the necessary cost, they reinvest the revenue into these molds. And the benefits is that they're fast and they have very good quality. After production, they're able to enjoy very handsome revenue or profit. And once they start making money, they will be willing to reinvest in producing or manufacturing another mold. So we suffer less from an imbalanced leverage. In the vintage car industry, we have already become a leader in sheet metal parts. Now, we want to cross-sell these parts into other industries. For example, we can create vintage furniture with these molds. This extends the life cycles of our existing molds. So you can see here on this slide this these kind of furniture that I've been talking about. Of course, they target a very niche market. There are fans of particular vintage models, and they would be very willing to buy these furniture that have been retrofitted from vintage car models. We've even entered, for example, the restaurant business. So there will be these kind of vintage car specialty cafes or bars, and they really draw the attention of car lovers. So in the market, you will be able to see all kinds of vintage models and products that are based on these vintage models, and basically they all come from Taiwan. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Peng. You probably don't know that the vintage car models from Heqing actually are very important characters in Hollywood movies, because whenever these vintage models are needed in these movies, they probably come from Heqing. So they are really targeting a very niche market. So as we heard from Mr. Peng, They produce vintage car models, but now they ventured into other industries. They actually created a vintage model lifestyle. So, for example, they work with furniture companies or even other kind of lifestyle products. I think this is very interesting. This is a very interesting case study where a company that was originally seemingly very conventional is able to venture into other industries and work with companies from other industries to create new markets. So that was the brief introduction of our 4 very successful cases in cross-sectoral collaboration. We heard from BlueX about this freight commercial platform. We heard from Creative Tech about how to recycle and reuse oyster shells. We heard about how to combine different smart home technologies into a platform. We've also heard about how to enter different sectors even though you are from a conventional or traditional industry. So now we would like to begin the Q&A session. Two major categories of questions we like to ask. One is that when we talk about innovation, we first need to be able to identify the business opportunities. That means you first need to know where the opportunities are. You need to recognize the scenarios. And after you're able to identify these business opportunities, you will need to make sure that you can monetize them. So on the in the first step, we saw that all of these companies started from SMEs or micro companies. They identified some sort of business opportunity in order to build themselves into, more or less medium-sized companies. So my first question for our 4 panelists: how did you identify these new creative or innovative business opportunities that probably wasn't identified by others, by your competitors? Well, this is actually quite important because for SMEs, you used to be OEMs, and you used to be, busy bumblebees being commissioned some kind of work by huge corporations. And it is actually not that frequent where you have a certain kind of vantage point where you can identify business opportunities in the future markets. So we're very curious about how you actually identified these business opportunities, especially when the future is so full of uncertainties. How were you able to really grasp these opportunities and build your new businesses? So please share with us your insights in how to identify these new business opportunities. Can we invite Vivian to share with us first the experience from BlueX? The ocean freight industry is already 60 years old. Where can you find opportunities for digital transformation?
Like I said earlier, when we looked at this space about 5 years ago, we went and visited with shippers, and they showed us this huge binder of paperwork that they would have to fill out and go through just to make a single booking. And so, it was actually quite a shock, and we thought the airline industry has done it, and actually the shippers themselves are used to booking stuff online, right? Everyone here uses the internet. It's very intuitive. But if we look at the ocean carrier industry, it actually did not catch up with the innovation. And so in our minds, it was very clear that if we didn't help and do something in this area, it would slowly fall behind and that the demand was there. People want to be able to book things digitally, right? They want to be able to see prices digitally. And then also we looked at pricing, right? And so earlier today, we heard from panelists who talked about AI and how they've utilized that on their platforms. And we're incorporating a lot of that in the way we help carriers price their products. If you picture yourself as a small to medium-sized business owner who's trying to ship goods from point A to point B, you might not have the ability to negotiate very competitive contracts the way Walmart or Amazon can, right? And that's where BlueX can help again, is how do we help these small to medium-sized shippers get really good spot rates, especially now with the trade wars, with the pandemic. There's a lot of room for improvement and a lot of opportunity for innovation. And we've looked at incorporating AI into our platform to offer dynamic pricing that the carriers can give out to all types of different sized customers. And I think, you know, with digital innovation, with cloud computing, we're able to do this, and the opportunities are all there. There's, I think, you know, from this industry alone, we're gonna see hundreds of startups that come out as a result of this, because there's just so much room for innovation.
Thank you. In the past decades, a lot of functional textiles made from recycled PET bottles have become very well known around the world. And so we try to learn from their success stories. How were these businesses able to inspire customers to buy these recycled materials? I believe in the future there will be a lot of wars on securing resources. So we have been researching for more than 4 years. We found that oyster shells are actually a very valuable resource, because as long as people eat oysters, there will be oyster shells. And we want to turn these garbage in the past into assets in the future. We believe that our products have infrared capabilities. They are UV protective. They are moisture wicking, and these fabrics have received a lot of orders around the world. Under the support of the SMEA and the support of research centers, we were able to turn oyster shells into a huge economic opportunity. Oyster shells are gifts from heaven, and it can be a big market, as big as 10 billion NT dollars. Therefore, we hope that we can turn trash into money. Thank you.
Smart buildings or smart living space are two major trends. We can look at the cars we are driving today. I'm not talking about vintage cars, but look at the inside of your cars. How many CPUs are at work in your car? How many features that are controlled by the move of your hand? You can control the temperature inside your car. How can we make all this happen within the space of your vehicle? When you drive your car, In the reverse mode, there will be pictures on the screen showing you what's behind your car. So the technology is already available when it comes to your cars. We can make them available to our living, built environment. So our homes should be able to access similar technologies. How come they are not yet there? We have been talking about building smart homes, intelligent buildings for so many years, but they still sound like castles in the air. Why? I think there are two reasons. First, most construction companies do not have the ability to perform system integration. Unlike car makers, many famous brands in the car industry can require their suppliers to provide the parts they demand. So construction companies are not in the position to conduct system integration. As a result, we do not have smart buildings. In addition, when it comes to the construction material and home appliances, in terms of lighting, wires you use at home, or toilets you use at home, most of the companies producing these products are in the so-called low-tech industry. So it's very difficult to expect them to go digital overnight. That is why my company sees an opportunity. We know that there is a need for a smart brick e-box, the product we produce at O+. We try to combine all the appliances and products together so that with this smart brick, you will be able to control the different products. By stacking up the bricks, you will be able to digitalize your products and services. So you don't need to be a digital enterprise overnight to serve your customers. This is the pillar of our company, and we are very pleased that this concept has been widely and very well received by our clients in different sectors. So basically, we have seen this gap, this unmet need in the market. Especially many SMEs in Taiwan do not have sufficient capability to perform R&D. With our smart bricks, they will be able to serve their customers better. This is a huge business opportunity. Take my company, for example. First of all, you have to know the market position for your products. We provide small quantities in greater varieties. So we cannot compete with China or India when it comes to mass production. That is why we consider our suppliers as our valuable partners. We want them to be our shareholders working with us. And we don't have a lot of inventory pressure, so we can produce in real time to meet the customers' needs. We have over 7,000 items. And with 200 items, we will be able to book a container and ship them to our customers. That is how we have become a leader in this sector. In the auto industry, we we anticipate that there may be fewer and fewer vintage cars that need to be restored. So we have come up with the whole body metal sheets, and we began to work with many designers to leverage this vintage car or vintage furniture. Thank you. So we can see that small and medium enterprises as well as startups are trying very hard to identify business opportunities in these difficult times. And they can do that because they see things from the consumer's perspective. They can identify the pain points and unmet needs. From user experience in the ocean freight industry, the issue of lack of transparency in pricing, too much paperwork. There's a need for better quality of ocean freight services. And in another case, the number of PET bottles, oyster shells discarded, and how vintage cars can be restored and be given new life. I think these are voices from the user because they listen to the users and consumers. These startups and small and medium companies are able to seize opportunities. So there's an important lesson, that is, we have to look at the bigger picture. We have to think in the long term instead of focusing solely on technology. Next question, I would like to ask the panelists. After seeing or identifying an opportunity, how can you find partners to work with you to capitalize on the opportunities? What strategies have you used to find partners and forge synergies in the partnerships? Please share with us your experiences and know-how. Partnership strategies.
So I mentioned before that we've been working with Changrong, and some people might ask, why doesn't Changrong 自己做、自己开发他们一个自己的平台？那你们可以大概想象说，Changrong
Imagine Evergreen is a very big company. Blue X is a small startup. Design is our DNA. So we provide SaaS-based services for carriers. We can be very nimble compared by working with big companies such as Evergreen. We can learn from each other. For example, we can learn from the digital approach adopted by Evergreen, see how we can improve our platform.
Being flexible, being collaborative, and really trying to figure out what culture is like at a company and how to work together in the most effective form. And now that we're working with other carriers, 他们也有其他自己的文化，那我们就是要 adapt， 然后看看我们要设计的东西要怎么样去跟他们一起合作，跟他们。
So we try to work with companies with different cultures. Mr. Moderator, thank you for giving us this opportunity to share our experience. The pandemic, as you all know, has impacted a lot of companies. My company is very fortunate. We have been able to emerge from the pandemic even stronger. Why is that the case? This is because we don't provide so-called one-stop shopping. we try to engage in vertical integration. We share our experiences with our upstream and downstream suppliers. As a result, in this pandemic, we have been able to withstand the impact. However, looking forward, what else can we do with oyster shells? We have done a lot of research. We believe oyster shells will be able to apply to be used as coating material, shoe making, electronic industry, or even perfume making. So it is our hope that instead of serving as a one-stop shopping portal, we want to be a portal collaborating with small and medium enterprises in the upstream and downstream so as to create a win-win situation for all. Looking for partners is very difficult. It's a big challenge. We have been doing this alone for many years. Even inside our group, we have been very lonely because I think we have been ahead of the curve, so to speak. However, when the vision is seen by everyone, you still need to show everyone what the bigger picture is like. You have to be able to tell your partners, when you join us, what new value can we create together? What benefits are there for the partners? For example, with the kitchen smoke suction machine, when we talked to makers of those machines, they wondered why they need to work with us. We told them that such smoke suction machine can be used not only in the kitchen. There's also stoves underneath the smoke suction machine. When the stove is turned on, the smoke suction machine should be turned on at the same time. And also, when the range hood is on, you have to pay attention to what's going on the stove. When the stove is turned on to a greater extent, the range hood should also be cranked up in terms of its strength and power. Range hood is also one of the only two appliances and devices at home that vents air to outside the building. Therefore, if there is some toxic air or gas in the house, the range hood should be able to turn on automatically. Our clients include construction companies and consumers. When they hear such use cases, they're really impressed. They're excited. Similarly, when we share such use cases with our potential clients, they feel interested and they are willing to work with us, join our system. So the most important thing is when you look for a partner, you need to share with your potential partners what your vision is, how we can collectively create new value, new use cases.
After we produce our products, we gradually discover that we're not just selling components, we've actually also helped other groups that are vintage model lovers. And we found that we can actually cooperate with the food and beverage industry. For example, just recently there was this vintage car bar in the Nangang car expo. We also discovered that we can produce these vintage furniture, bed or bed frames or sofas. We also have vintage car lovers who returned to Taiwan from other countries, and they bring in new ideas as well. So we can actually work with other industries. There are even other industries that have expressed their interest in working with us. So, there are actually a lot of interesting ideas, but people from different industries can actually tell us some of the ideas they have. So in the second question, we talked about the importance of grasping business opportunities in the future, identifying these opportunities and make sure that they're able to grasp these opportunities. So we've just heard from some of the best practices from these 4 companies, and I was really inspired because their common thread is that you need to be open. If you are not open enough, well, let me put it this way, rather than saying you need to be open, you need to have this sharing culture. This means that, first of all, you need to have a shared vision with your partners. You need to have a shared vision or a shared value. So if you can identify these common values or these common directions, then it will pave the way for future cooperation. In addition, SMEs often need to have open organizations. This means that they're actually very willing to adapt, they're willing to adopt different ways of doing things. A lot of times, bigger companies are more conservative, they're not that nimble, but SMEs are actually much more agile. So if you have a shared value, if you have an open structure within your organization, you have an open system to adapt to new ideas, then you would be more capable of being innovative. Because in the future, we're no longer that closed. We don't really value a very dedicated system. We actually want an open architecture and a more open platform, a more shared platform, a more shared system. So starting from shared value to a shared culture, I think SMEs actually have an advantage over bigger corporations. You can have a shared or an open architecture and a shared system, and I'm sure that this will connect SMEs better with other partners. I think what we've heard really corresponds very well to the theme of our first panel. So, as I mentioned earlier, the 4 keywords: share. Number 2, you need to cross industries and cross sectors and cross between virtuality and reality. Because the bigger the distance between you and your collaborator, actually, it encompasses more opportunities. So from our 4 speakers, you see that they have a core advantage, but they also are very open to work with companies that are very far away from them. The third point is that further integration is necessary, from sharing to cross-industry to integration. This is the third step. You need to integrate because you need to place users' experiences at the top of the agenda list. So this is a total solution idea. From what we've heard earlier, it's very obvious that we would need to meet market demand from the upstream to the midstream to the downstream. Sometimes it's not just the product and services, but also customer experiences that matter. So it's not just system integration, it's also service integration and solution integration. So it's not just product and service, but also solution. Last but not least, I think co-prosperity is very important because we need to share profits, we need to share businesses, we need to share markets with each other. This is a key to sustainable cooperation. So when, just like what Mr. Peng said about Heqing, everybody share the equities, and this enables everybody to reinvest their profits. I think this is a very good incentive for businesses. I think this was a very important session because everybody just finished lunch and you're probably dozing off, but I applaud you for willing to stay here and listen attentively to what our panelists have said. I'm sure that their stories have really been very inspiring. Well, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for your attention and your participation. Although I'm the moderator, however, I personally have learned a lot as well. So let's put our hands together and thank our four panelists. And thank you for attending this first panel discussion. Thank you very much.
All panelists， 现在呢，为了感谢我们今天台上的所有的语坛人呢，我们会场呢准备了一些精美的礼品，想要请Dr. Lai 帮我们一起致赠。So to express our gratitude to all panelists, we would like to have Dr. Lai to present all the gifts to them. 再次感谢以上所有语坛人精彩的分享，以及赖策略长非常精辟的提问。那我们邀请所有的贵宾，我们一起到台前拍一张合照好吗？我们是不是带一张大合照呢 ？Okay, please look at the camera for a group photo. Okay, the one in the front first. Okay, the one in the back. 远方的摄影镜头。好，谢谢我们现场来宾，是不是再一次掌声？谢谢台上所有的讲者呢 ？Thank you once again. Thank you for stimulating sharing. Thank you. So that was the first topic, which is navigating the industry disruption and business transformation through collaborative innovation. Thanks to all the panelists and the moderator giving us a better understanding on this topic. The next, moving on, the topic will be boosting operational efficiency and market growth with value-added technology. 接下来我们将继续进行的第二个主题是运用技术价值提升经营效率与市场。那本场次的主持人，请容我这边介绍一下。For the next session, our moderator is Mr. Wei Chao Chen, the Chief Digital Officer and Senior Vice President of Inventec, also the Chairman and Co-founder of Skywatch. 这场呢，邀请到的是英业达数位长暨资深副总经理、新品创办人暨董事长陈维超担任主持人，让我们掌声欢迎。Now please welcome the panelists， 让我们一起欢迎语坛人 Mr. Peter Zhang, the co-founder of QT Medical， 美商与新生医张瑞忠总经理。Mr. Stéphane Docot, the CEO of Team 8. Team 8 Stephen the Court 执行长 Mr. 千次黄 the CEO of Qingqing Silica Sand 京津细沙黄千次执行长 Mr. Stephen P.J. Zhang the President of Natty System Corporation 杰西科技张选佩总经理，欢迎总经理。好，我们欢迎以上所有的与谈人以及我们的主持人。Welcome all guests, and now the floor will be yours, Mr. Chen.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming in post-lunch. We have a very diverse group here, and I think that the topic here is to talk about new opportunities in the digital age with a variety of different services. We have medical products here, we have child services, and then we have more traditional silicon or sand trading business, and then we have a system integration company here. They're all doing very well in their respective field. And I think what we would like to get started with is for them to present their current business status and the market they served, and then we will go over these panelists and discuss a few specialties in their respective business. So should we start with Mr. Chang from QT Medical?
Yeah, thank you everyone. I'm Peter Chang, co-founder of QT Medical. It's a pleasure to be here. I co-founded QT Medical with Dr. Chen, who is a pediatric cardiologist and a professor at UCLA. We received our initial funding from NIH of the United States. Our mission is to make it possible for patients to do medical standard 12-lead ECG at home. And our first product, PCA 500, is cleared by the FDA and CE mark for both patient use at home and professional use. And we position ourselves more of an ECG service provider than an ECG device manufacturer. As everyone knows, heart disease is the number one killer worldwide, and ECG is the most commonly used test for the heart. However, till this date, medical standard 12-lead ECG is still only available in hospital and doctor's office. And why is that? Because to do an ECG test, you need a big machine and 10 lead wires. You also need the technicians to operate a complicated ECG machine. With PCA 500, there is no need for technicians. Even patients with no experience and no training can do medical standard 12-lead ECG with no risk of the coronavirus infections. We conduct a study comparing PCA 500 and to the market leader, Philips PageWriter TC70. Despite our PCA 500 recorder is super compact and the cost is much lower, but the signal quality and the clinical interpretation are the same. PCA 500 is not just another ECG machine. It's a complete platform, including the super compact recorder, wireless electrode strip, and apps on the mobile device, and all ECG are managed in the cloud. Our auto-diagnostic will provide interpretation instantly. There are plenty of market opportunities such as airline, prison, CRO, nursing home, emergency room, post-op monitoring, and ultimate market will be home care. We have partnered with the largest aviation medical service provider, MedAir, who serve over 160 airlines globally. We also in discussion with several large pharma and CRO to discuss to use our PCA 500 in their clinical trial. Then COVID-19 came along, everything's changed, and we, in response to the COVID-19 and the pandemic, we launched a new business model, Express ECG, online order, mail delivery, home ECG test. Here are the simple 5 steps of Express ECG. customer need to only place the order online, then we'll mail the PCA 500 to patient's home to complete the test. Now that we have the world-only PCA 500 platform, which allow patients to do medical standard 12 ECG at home, and then followed by launching the Express ECG to let doctors order the ECG test for patients online. The final step to complete our business model is to provide the EKG 360 service. That's a fleet of Uber doctor to provide the diagnosis at any time, any place. And now we have everything in place to make our market strategy complete. Our EKG 360 service now available in California, and soon will expand nationwide in the United States. We expect to receive TFDA, Taiwan FDA clearance by the end of this year. Compared to the US, Taiwan market is smaller, but very much different. The first is a single payer, universal health care by government with the strict control of costs. And second, Taiwan is a high population density with a very convenient public transportation. So that's incentive to develop the telehealth solution. And third, healthcare is accessible and affordable, but we still find a private paid market over there. We are now develop our market entry and pricing strategy. We hope to provide the highest value to Taiwan, where our technologies are developed. Here I echo to the topic of conference today. We are welcome all partners from cross sectors. Anyone interested in collaboration with us will be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Next we have Monsieur Dacote from Teammate, and he's working on apparently also well-being for children in terms of the digital age. So please go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Stéphane Dacote, I'm the CEO of Teammate, and since I'm a little kid, I always dreamed to do this. But I wasn't the super fit kind of kid, so I was too ashamed to wear a superhero costume. Later on, the joke turned on me as I grew up as a morbid obesity adult. And in 2003, I lost 80 kilos and wondered myself, am I the only one to daily struggle with this issue? And actually, we all know a little kid that is a bit overweight. Cute, but a bit overweight. Problem is, it leads to 1.9 billion people overweight all over the world, leading to the first cause of death. So we thought, how can we address that? How can we engage kids in something that is as boring than health when the only thing they think about is to play, and avoid also the parents to be the bad cops? So we thought the best things to do is to actually let them play. So we created Teammate. It's a watch for kids, so kids gonna create their own superhero. They're gonna choose a name, costume, superpower. We have this first device right here. We are working right now on a second device that will be 4G, also heart rate monitors. We have an ODM partner here in Taiwan. So the hero gonna evolve with the kids. And this hero, they can use it inside the watch. They can play alone or together. There is different game, fight game, reflex game, memory games, also a sport game and educational games. But to do all those game and activity, the hero gonna need energy. So it's gonna feed from the kid energy. This way we motivate them to do sport and exercise. Behind this cool, fun gaming universe, we want to create the first health platform dedicated for kids. So we can already do a reminder for medication, warning for allergy, and a whole health platform that we're looking to partner with. So the watch includes a SIM card, allowing parents to do GPS tracking, SMS, phone calls, and in the future having 5G. The watch have a video player, music player, all the features that kids like, with always the same principle: 1 hour entertainment for 1 hour physical activity. We are on the market of toys and fitness tracking. We are incorporating in Taiwan at the moment, have our first employee here, did survey very positive with parents here. As you can see, all our competitors focus in one part of the problem when we are the only ones to actually be appealing for the kids, but also useful for the parents. So even if we are hardware, we actually looking for hardware partners and brand to co-brand, and so we bring the software, they bring the hardware, and we can sell together. We already talked to a lot of telecoms company here in Taiwan, but also schools, hospital, as we want to grow from B2B to B2C. Our business model have many revenue streams. The one we want to focus on is telecom subscription models, in-app purchase, as it's high margin and recurrent revenue. As you can see, our forecast on sales have a high peak in Christmas. It's why we are looking for a fundraise right now to create a team here in Taiwan with local developers and our ODM partner here. So our team have already all the skills necessary for teammate success. We won many programs and awards, one being Bridge to Mass Challenge here in Taiwan and a CES award last year. So I thank you very much for your attention and bring your superpower to our team. 谢谢.
Okay, so most of these companies have a business model for SaaS, right? Hardware, IoT, and then software recurring revenue. The next presenter is coming from a more traditional industry where they also are converting into a service model. And please welcome Mr. Huang for your presentation.
主持人，各位
贵宾，大家好。Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I come from Jingjing Silica Sand Company, a very traditional industry. First of all, allow me to introduce to you the Jingjing Group. There are 5 companies in this group. The first one was established in 1977, but in this year, we combined the companies and we have become a holding company. As you can see, it was first established in 1977. Our capital has 160 million New Taiwan dollars. There are 3 factories in Miaoli, central part of Taiwan. The revenue is 580 million New Taiwan dollars last year. We focus on silica powder. We source silica powder from different parts of Asia. We have been in this business for 43 years. We are also the first company to come up with a circular model of utilizing silica powder. 3 years ago, we were sponsored and coached by the government to have our first foray into 3D printing. Starting from the raw material development to 3D printing sand and mold. These will be our core businesses going forward. Here you can see the different products from our companies. Silica powder, of course, is our main product. We also have the so-called resin-coated sand and 3D printing sand. Recently, we have set up a 3D printing service center. In addition, we have silica sand tailored to the needs of the optoelectronic industry. The sources of our sand, as you can see, Vietnam, Australia, Taiwan, Malaysia, and other regions. So we rely on our partners in different parts of Asia. As for the markets, we specialize in the products are used in foundry, sandblasting, recreational industry. These are our customers. We are very appreciative to our customers and government for their long-standing support. In traditional industry, I think foundry business has a long history. It plays a critical role in the auto industry, motorcycle industry. Mold making is a very important skill. After setting up a 3D printing service center, we provide ceramic molds and other 3D printing molds. We have been able to shorten the time to market from 15 days to 3 days. As a result, we have become more competitive. By using new materials, we are able to serve clients in precision industry, aerospace industry. With our new service center, we have 3D printing software. So from the demand, application, manufacturing, we have been able to come up with a TCT, Taiwan Custom Team. From foundry, processing, post-production, we are able to provide a one-stop shopping services for the foundry clients to go global. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
We had a business that basically based from a traditional business and turned into a digital platform. And now we have Mr. Chang from Nadi System, who is actually assisting their customers in the process of digitization. So please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. Listen to me to my speech. I'm Steven, and I come from NADI System. I'm co-founder, one of all. And who is the NADI? Actually, the NADI is a software developer, and we dedicate in 3D system innovation. And we committed to smart solution and integration of the virtual and physical environment and provide a more effective method for management. NADI provides 3D system. Like the BIM in the construction industry, and like a digital twin in the manufacturing industry. Our solution enable next generation situational awareness for comprehensive management and continuously delivery key trend and insight from within your business. So we provide three different oriented thinking. We think the first point must to be interactive and provide a manager with more information. And the second, the key point must have a virtual system, interactive to provide the manager with what you see and what you get. And the third key point must be to integrate the information of the various subsystems. What NXDI try to solve it, an IoT device and many building and urban system all next independently, so difficult to synchronize and manage all device. So we think have to central system to connect all device and management overall data for operator make then could be monitoring and control and everything of their scope. Therefore, NDI we did it. And we help operator monitoring and how to know and predict status information in advance. So we provide various applications under NADI 3D system, like its IoT integration and management, and intelligent video analytics, and BIN application, and systemization, and leverage to VR, AR, MR application, and data analytics visualization. Finally, we provide system integration and monitoring. And everyone, you can see the picture. The picture, there are many different cameras, separate display on the TV wall. Who can tell me about this situation, how to manage it, and how to and who can tell me which camera location? So I want to show the video. We use the live video streaming and fusion with our NADI 3D system. Okay, therefore, so we think we can make the video fusion the 3D system. Why not? So why NADI? Because we can provide the manage critical situation in one 3D integration platform. And we can provide a 3D video fusion. And we can scalable solution. Even what you want, and maybe we can do. This is the NADI solution environment. This is an idea from BIM in the construction industry. We separate the solution to before and after stage, and then depend on the different stage to provide a different service. So finally, we also offer customer 3 different service architecture: location cloud service, and hybrid cloud service, and fully cloud service. And we can service to different industry service and architecture, like it's include city and infrastructure, or energy, or surveillance, and government. So we are I want to show the video. This is we are a startup company. So we extremely happy to subscribe. Okay, that's our history. We get a few war, and therefore this company is our business and technical cooperation partner. And in the end, we have been keeping the advance and layout plan to in a progress. Our company stand in Taipei, and we have a branch in Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, presenters, for your wonderful speeches. So you see the problem at hand, right? We have a very wide spectrum of industry here. So I think we're going to focus the questions on, or discussions on digitization for the first round. So let's start with QT Medical, Mr. Chang, right? So your business has a component of device and service, and take advantage of COVID-19. 19. You're obviously moving toward the service model somehow. The transition could be difficult. So I'm wondering if there's any new trend in healthcare in the past 5 years that, or 10 years, that enables us to do this and move along with the new opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. Yeah. Since our company is in the medical space, then my answer to this question probably will from the perspective of the healthcare industry. Yeah, we do see the digitalization and digital transformation in the last 5 years in different ways in the healthcare industry. For example, we find that there are many remote patient monitoring devices are used for collecting digital physiological data. And we also seen that all hospitals and clinics are now adopting the EMR, electronic medical record system. It generates tremendous amounts of data, and what these data are used for. We found that these data are used for evaluating utilizations, and also used for resource planning, used for training the machine learning, the medical AI that used for help doctor to make decision, make the diagnosis, help to improve the hospital management, to improve the efficiency. And whatever this data are used for, then we see the most important things outcome. And the healthcare is now more outcome driven. And because the medical practice is need to be the outcome driven, evidence based. Reimbursement also more and more based on the outcome. I take an example from our customer in the United States. If heart failure patients get readmitted within 30 days following discharge, according to the policy of U.S. Medicare, they will not pay for the second admission. That means the hospital need to absorb the cost by themselves. So that's tell us that when we try to implement a digital transformation, that we should focus on the outcome. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll get to the outcome question later. Okay, so let's move on to Monsieur Dacote. So I'm wondering. So I love your presentation. With, I mean, you don't look recognizable now. You're super fit now. But the kids are nowadays facing more challenges here when we're introducing them a new digital device. They are already bombarded with all the digital communication devices. So what kind of new challenges do we see in this time of age compared to when you were growing up? We only had McDonald's to fight for, now fight against, and now we have a lot more enemies for the children to fight against. So what are the new challenges you think we should prevent the kids from getting infected buy?
I think actually to answer to this question, you have to put yourself as, not as the parents, but as a kid. Like when I was kid, people told me like, yeah, watching too much TV is bad. Before that, it was radio. Before that, like every generation, the previous one say to the kids, this is bad to you. So my point of view on this is more to, instead of telling them smartphones are bad for you and screens are bad for you and those kind of things, mainly because like when you know, kids just do what parents do. So we spend all our time on the screen, we spend all our time on a smartphone, so it's kind of, you know, hypocrite to tell them don't do that. But our point is more to teach them how to use it more than tell them that it's bad. So already the fact that they have to do exercise, physical exercise in real life to obtain some time on the watch, I think it's a good step. Also to allow the parents to control, because parents can lock the watch during school time, night time, whenever they want. It's also a step for kids to understand better what their tools of tomorrow, because they're gonna work with those kind of tools.
So yeah, moderation instead of tight control. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Anything that came now, it was treated bad for new parents, so parents be aware, right? Now, I think all the kids are going to be in, how do you say that, natively digital at this time of age. Now, if we look at Jinshin Sidika, you came from a very traditional background, and then you're able to revolutionize your business with digital techniques. Can you tell us what are the biggest challenges in terms of moving toward digitalization? What kind of new opportunities have you enabled in the process? 就是数位化的过程产生什么机会？中间遇到的挑战是什么？谢谢。
好，谢谢您。那的确啦，这个在
It is true that during the process of establishing this 3D printing platform, we need to make sure that the raw materials of the facilities, machinery needs to be there, needs to be in place before we can begin. So since we're in the traditional industry, it is actually very important for people to take part in this endeavor, and they have been the winners of their respective industries. So I think what is important is to actually do it, because without actually showing our results, you will not be able to convince these partners. So we actually have an experimental factory and allow our partners to discover where they position themselves, where they can position themselves within this new assembly line, and they also can identify their business or profit opportunities. And when they are able to do that, we will be able to work together. So everybody is like a profit center rather than trying to drag each other down. And we have been quite successful. We have 41 members on this platform. We're assisting each other so that we can take on the global market.
所以就是自己的
So that is to say, you are going to use your products first. In the traditional industry, I think people really value true results, actual results. They need to see the results. So if we're able to show our partners that there is a niche market, they will be more willing to participate, and then we can attract others to join this platform, to share their know-how, and also invest in this new technology.
Build a demo and eat your own dog food, basically. So it's a very good way of moving forward. Now, I think on the opposite spectrum, Mr. Chang, you're in charge of helping businesses turning digital. Obviously, there will be bigger, smaller companies who would need these kind of services, but as a technology advanced company, a smaller business or startup, maybe like yours, what kind of opportunities do you see in the trend of digitalization that we can take advantage of?
Okay, I want to speak detail more, so I use Mandarin. OK，我想
Currently, all industries face the challenge of digitalization or digital transformation. As a result, many industries do not know how to leverage the data they have stored in their devices and equipment. With data, they also have the problem of adequate management. So in the process, we see how 3D visualization can help these companies. In other words, at the earliest time, the operators can see the pain point being resolved. So we are able to show the managers, the operators, the data they need to see, especially in the 3D visualization approach. They are able to see everything very easily. That's why I have emphasized that 3D visualization can be very instrumental.
Thanks for your explanation. I think these are wonderful discussions, and now I'd like to move toward the topics of opportunities and effects. Okay, so I'd like to ask Mr. Chang first about to continue with your comments on patient outcomes. It obviously is the most important factor in terms of healthcare business. So, what actions are needed, do you think are most necessary to improve patient outcomes in your line of business, which is the ECG services?
Yeah, thank you. As I just said, that when we try to implement the digital transformation, the outcome will be the most important. And when we collect the digital data from the EMR, electronic medical system, record systems, and when we use this data to train our business model, also actually, not business model, I'm sorry, AI model. Actually, we are also developing our own AI model to provide the diagnosis, provide the auto interpretation for our ECG test customers. So when we try to implement AI model, and then we use this kind of data, and we need to evidence-based. That's what I just said. So also, we are also trying to improve the patient outcome. Also trying to improve the hospital's efficiency. That's what we are trying to do. Our product is a medical device, but we are actually also an electronic device. So we use a lot of electronic technologies, also softwares. We actually we can say we are an IT the industry and healthcare industries converge together, combine these two different technology. So we are also implement our product, our technologies by from this data used in the clinical trial. So we based in our R&D center is set in Taiwan, and our clinical trial will be implemented in the United States. We are trying to conduct more clinical trial in Taiwan, so hope that we have more collaboration opportunity with Taiwan Medical Center. Yeah.
Okay, a side note. So is there any sufficient evidence that the learnings we have in Taiwan will be transferable to the US in terms of the training?
You mean AR?
Yeah, the things that we learned here in Taiwan, would that be useful in the US? Is there any evidence?
Yeah, I think the science is the common language. It's no difference from Taiwan or United States.
Okay, great. So that we will talk about how, in terms of global expansion, we'll talk about that next. But let's move to Monsieur Dacote. I'm just curious because the product you're developing is obviously very cultural dependent. The obesity problem amongst kids here aren't as severe statistically. So what's the reason behind your target in terms of moving to Taiwan for one of your markets?
So actually there is many reasons for that. First, in terms of communication for kids, parents here are much more concerned. In France, when you talk about GPS tracking on kids, a lot of people get scared about it. Here is the first thing people request us to do. Also, actually, Asia is the fastest growing market in terms of overweight. And Taiwan is sadly #1 in Asia. So it's also a very important topic to address before it's too late, I think. And on top of that, I think Taiwan have this great position because on cultural and location side, it's the best way for Occidental company to address Asian market. So, and it's small enough to be addressable for a little startup, but also big enough to show that it's a mass market product that can work and that can expand from Taiwan all over Asia. And also you have like great hardware company that is needed for our kind of product. So.
All right, great. So it's an addressable market, big enough, and there's a good supply chain for your suppliers, right? Thank you. Mr. Huang, I'd like to get back to you here. So we talked about opportunities, but in your case, I think the more difficult thing might be integrating with your suppliers and making your digitalization actionable. So I'm wondering if you can discuss your experiences in terms of how you go about creating this new business to capture this opportunity. 就是讲一下您这个 project 是怎么跟其他的人形成共识的。
谢谢。
Thank you for the question. When we created this platform, we had 3 strategies. That is profit sharing. We want to create a new business model for all the members of the platform. That's why we set up TCT, Taiwan Cluster Team. Through 3D printing, metal and ceramic precision industry can be involved. We want to help them to develop overseas markets. As I said, we have a one-stop shopping portal, so efficiency is very high. The clients can leverage our platform to be more competitive and efficient when they go abroad. In addition, our second strategy is technology sharing. That is, in the ecosystem, we try to work with our partners by making sure that our technical data is adequately stored and kept. And this will be a valuable database. We will be able to share technologies and develop next generation technologies together. The next strategy is we want to make sure that when the ecosystem is big and mature enough, we want to replicate this approach and model to aerospace industry, to ceramic precision industry, because they are known for their high value added features. So digitalization will forge a high value added platform. As a result, my clients and suppliers stand to benefit from this venture. So the 3 strategies are what we are abiding by now.
Thank you, Mr. Huang. I think it's interesting that you were able to combine the top-level executive decisions with the ecosystem that you're serving and provide them additional values in your quite traditional industry. So I think I want to go back to Mr. Huang. So you're faced with a different problem in the sense that you're working with arguably larger companies who might need the new technology, but who might not have the mindset of what would be beneficial for them. So, and you're engaged with a wide diversity of customers. So can you tell us what kind of challenges have you faced engaging with these customers? How do you position yourself in terms of value, and what kind of lessons and stories you can probably share with us here? Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. 其实我们在面对这些客户，他们的
In fact, when we engage with customers, first of all, we have to know what kind of business environment they are in. In the process, we gain further understanding of our clients, and then we will be able to provide them a tailor-made solution. But the most important thing is, we know that in the manufacturing industry, when we talk about AI, data analytics, etc., the first step you have to take is you have to identify the pinpoint in your management and operation. So we leverage the management platform we have created. This platform is pretty much presenting the management situation our clients are in. It's kind of like the BIM. And in the manufacturing industry, we're talking about the digital twin. With digital twins, we can provide a synchronous platform, and we enter the client's data into this model or platform. As a result, our clients can have very intuitive overview of their operations. And because of the pandemic, sometimes we have to work from home, so you can control the operations remotely as well. Most important of all, with the existing data or historic data, you can enter them into this digital twin, the 3D on-scale modeling. Our clients are able to be more efficient in their management, and they can also have a retrospective overview and review of their historic data. This helps them to make better and more accurate forecast of their future operations. As a result, Industry 2.5, from Industry 2.5 to Industry 4.0, we can help our clients to complete this transition successfully. Thank you. I'm in the manufacturing industry. I'm aware of the difficulties in attaining Industry 4.0.
So we're going to move toward the next sort of group of questions. So we talked about digitization, we talked about effects and outcome, and then I'd like to talk about scaling up. Okay, so Mr. Chang, your business, it seems that you've already taken advantage of digital platform with a SaaS model. So it seems that if we're focusing still in the US market, do you see any opportunities of scaling up in terms of kind of services that you're providing, and what are the opportunities you're seeing in terms of, I think in the sense, growing our pool in addition to growing the users? Essentially, what kind of new services and opportunities are you seeing in your business?
Yeah, thank you. Conventional model of medical device sales is no longer competitive in the current healthcare environment. value-added service will be a very important tool to strengthen our competitive advantage. QT Medical realized the trend and began to plan years ago. So we have several value-added service. The first is the cloud service. We provide our customers unlimited cloud use free of charge for the lifetime of the device, ECG device. The second, we will provide the auto diagnostics. Our auto diagnostics still under development and will soon provide for our customer use for free. The third is serial comparison and further analysis. What is serial comparison? From the other ECG device, you can only get the results from the current test. You will not know what's the change from the previous test to the current test. Our serial comparison can provide the comparison between the current test from the previous test, and you will know what has changed since the last test to the test now. And the fourth will be the EKG 360 service, what I just said. We will provide a fleet of Uber doctors. We will have a fleet of contract doctors to provide the diagnosis online at any time, any place. So our customers, the EKG 360 service is already available in California. Our customers absolutely love the service. Thank you.
To follow up on that, I'm wondering if there's any legal implications in providing medical sort of diagnosis services online. Is there any market differences for that?
Yeah, certainly. U.S. is the most telemedicine advanced market, and the regulation have been lifted a lot from, especially in the environment of COVID-19. So Taiwan is still highly regulated for the telemedicine markets. So probably our service model, EKG 360 model, is still not available. It's not suitable for the Taiwan market.
I see. So there's hope, but there's still a risk in terms of executing remote diagnosis strategy. Correct?
Yep.
Got it. Okay, so Monsieur Superman, so I think in terms of scaling up, my interest would be the fact that different kids in different countries would have different problems. Kids in Africa might have hygiene issues with, and then kids in the Middle East may have some safety issues. So there's obviously a lot of cultural differences in terms of kids' health, welfare, and whatnot. So can you give us a few examples between Taiwan and France about what you think are the most critical differences in terms of benefits that we should provide to our little customers? Thank you.
I think at first our first consideration is how we engage the kids, because if we don't, it's doomed. So it's why we make it a cool, fun game for every kid. You don't have to be sick or overweight. It has to be a cool game for everyone. And behind that, we have a lot of leverage and rules in the game that gonna adapt depending on the kid's condition. I don't think maybe there is some health issue that more in Asia than Europe or things like this, but basically the health issues are pretty much similar all over the world. So it's more like if you are diabetic, for example, the rules of the game is gonna be different for recharging your superhero. But the game is gonna stay the same for everyone, because we don't want also to stigmatize the owner of the watch. You don't want to be like the diseased kid watch. So, and afterward, I think on the universe side and the gaming aspect, pretty much like Spider-Man or Superman work find in Asia, in US, in Europe, all over the world. So it's why we try to make it in the same aspect to superhero that will be appealing all over the world.
It's going to be a lot of money to get the license for Superman though, right?
I prefer to get my own license and get the money myself.
Right, so actually I want to follow up with that. So it seems that culturally there might be an issue, but you can have another vertical, which is the type of problems or disease that you're marketing the kids with, for example, diabetes. So do you have any plan of maybe turning it into a platform for developers to develop like diabetes-specific game, obesity-specific, or maybe ADD type of thing? Would that be something that you can consider?
Actually, we consider for other developers to do new apps or features for the watch. And for the health platform, we prefer to keep it under our hands. But we're looking for each health issue, because my background was artistic director. I have no background in medical. So for each health issue, we find a good health partner like our hospital or pharmaceutical groups that gonna help us being like, okay, the diabetic kids' day is this and this, and we need them to do this and this. How can you help us? And then we co-create the games and the rules adapted to the condition of those kind of kids.
I see, interesting. So it's not so much cultural, more there's a lot of verticals you can explore across the world, right? Now going back to Mr. Huang. So I'm just curious, in terms of scaling up, there's obviously I mean, your business seems to be working well. My problem will be related to talents and how you acquire necessary talents inside of your corporation, which is arguably more traditional. Do you have any thoughts on that? 怎么样吸引人才，让你们传统跟比较那个现代产业怎么结合？
对。Thank you for your question. During digitalization, I think first of all we need to establish the environment for digitalization, and we need to nurture talents. In the current time, you will find it very difficult to find talents who are both knowledgeable about the traditional industry and also digitalization. So what we can do is to recruit people who are experts in a particular field, for example, digitalization or industrial design or molding or machinery, etc. They have expertise in a particular field. They have experience or know-how in a particular field. Then we create teams for them to work together, and we also provide scenarios for them to experiment working with each other, and they would be able to learn from each other, and they would also be able to learn from each other's expertise. So basically everybody's helping each other. They're also able to showcase their talents. I believe that within your companies you always develop your very specific talents and experiences. And I think this differs from company to company, but these are very important factors, which we often call know-hows for the company to survive. And I believe that in this particular platform that we're establishing, we want to make sure that we are able to lead other member partners so that they can embark on the path of digitalization. So the talents that already exist on this platform can become the pioneers, and that would enable digitalization to be sustainable. Maybe these people are not necessarily omnipotent, but they are able to create a very competent team. We're very happy that our attrition rate is very, very low, because everybody treats the company as a big family. So we're basically building a family. So in terms of working atmosphere, and the organizational culture, I think it really is very, very helpful in retaining our talents. So I think people are assets. I'm sure that this is very, very typical of traditional industries. So when these people were recruited in the beginning, how were you able to attract them and attract them to join your company rather than other companies? Well, I think this has a lot to do with your corporate culture. So, people at first might look at their salaries and their whether the promotions would be very, very. There's a promotional ladder, but I think the atmosphere is more and more important as people spend more time in the company. In our company, a lot of our employees are willing to introduce their children, the second generation, into their company. They wouldn't tell their kids to go find a job in another company. And I think that has a lot to do with corporate culture. So maybe it's word of mouth, probably. I think this is probably better than providing these hard figures and telling people that, oh, you're going to earn how much money. I think the atmosphere is very good, and but this is not something that can be done overnight. You need to be able to build such an atmosphere. Everybody has to be willing to wake up and be willing to go to work. And this is something that we're trying very hard to maintain.
So, you're one of the pioneering system integrators for digital services. And traditionally, there will be a market sort of constraint for for a system integrator to go to different markets. So now that you have a lot of collaborators, suppliers, and maybe case studies, how do you foresee your strategy of going to global market?
OK， 非常谢谢这个问题。
Thank you for the question. I think this is a very key question to our development in the future. We grew from the industry, meaning that we were a startup company in the beginning. So basically, we've encountered and also overcome all of the problems and challenges that startup companies would face. We have been focusing on our strength, which is system integration. And a lot of resources and investment have been made in this particular focus. Through our endeavors, we have accumulated a lot of experiences, and from these experiences, we're able to build solutions and establish platforms. In addition to developing our solution platform, in order to enter the global market, we began to work with global partners, get in contact with them, start working with them, which include the 3 major cloud service companies. We've also started to modularize our systems. As we modularized our system, we've also were able to create a more open platform so that companies or partners from various places, for example, the partners in Taiwan, can work together, allowing us to integrate resources. This becomes a very good springboard to enter the global market. Our partners would be able to use the interface that we've created. They can deploy it within their own products and services. Of course, we hope that in the future we can turn these services or modules into products but we also allow our partners to redesign these modules. And maybe in the future, we can create a subscription-based service so that we can provide service to clients outside of Taiwan.
都看起来是有 SI 网
So basically, you will develop products from system integration. So my next question is, what competitive advantage do you think your products have? I think our core technology lies in our ability to perform system integration, especially we have a 3D platform. So we take great pride in the fact that we have developed the platform 100% in-house, from the engine to search application. Most important of all, we have worked with many partners who are large companies, not only in Taiwan, but also in the global markets. We are able to engage with them in depth. So we are able to stand on the shoulder of the giants. That's how we can accelerate our global presence.
I am to see all you guys.
I've been to too many virtual conferences recently. Actually seeing real person with masks made in Taiwan makes me happy. So anyways, sign up. We have a few more minutes. So I'm just wondering, for the last question, because you're all providing services to customers, I'm wondering if any of you would like to share a 1-minute story about some customer story and what the stories that touches you the most. 可以讲一下你们客户的故事，哪个客户对你来说可能有最感动的一种故事。
Okay, whichever wants to start first. Okay, 好，我简单分享一个用。
I'll share a story. Recently in Virginia, we have a client who is a colonel in the U.S. Army. His father and mother-in-law have contracted coronavirus, and because they have heart disease, they are advised to stay away from the hospital. There's no way they could use the EKG to track the possible side effects of certain medication. His family members. In the end, they found we have this device. Within 2 days, we delivered the PCA 500 to them so that the client could perform this 12-lead hospital-grade ECG, and their physician, their doctor, was willing to perform diagnosis on the cloud and give them prescriptions of medicines that would lessen the impact on their health. As a result, my client's father and the mother-in-law recovered from COVID-19, and the client wrote us a letter thanking us for the help. So I think we are very appreciative of the fact that our efforts have been recognized. At our company, only one of the funders is a physician, but we may not be medical professionals. However, by launching this medical device, we have been able to help save lives. That's something I'm really impressed with. Thank you.
We only have 1 more minutes, but we have good stories, so can we continue? Thank you. Don't play the orchestra, right? We're just gonna finish it. Thank you.
Sadly, we're early compared to you, so we did not save life yet. But at an event, I made a little kids cry because actually we was just presenting, we was early stage, and he tried it and he loved it, and he said to his parents he wanted it, and that at some point I told him, but we're not for sale yet, and he started to cry and all, so I was quite proud of that. I'm ashamed about it, but I was kind of happy.
Happy tears, right? Happy tears.
Yeah.
That's
for me,
the
it
best.
was happy. For him, it was just tears because he frustration. But yeah, it was quite nice to have this feedback.
Thank you. About you guys?
我必须说，因为今到今年第13
Well, this is the 43rd year of our company. We have over 600 clients at home and abroad. And I'm grateful to all our clients for 43 years. We have not lost any one of those clients. I think this is because of the trust we have built with our clients. So I'm always willing to share with our clients. The 600 plus clients are all important and valuable to me and my company. In fact, I believe we can create prosperity and prosper together with all the clients. Well, before I tell this story, I would like to say that NADI is a very young company. Even though all the funders are not that young, because we have a lot of industry experience before we started the company. But young as the company may be, we have received a lot of support from our partners and clients. Many of them are heavyweights in their respective sectors. One of them is one of the top 5 electronics companies in Taiwan, and this client has a factory in Thailand. Last year, we helped this client within a very short span of time demonstrate their products at their year-end party. So half of my staff were involved to set up the system. We set up the system in Taiwan, and we brought that system to Thailand for that demonstration. Soon, the client was going to expand the system to other parts of their business. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we were not able to go to Thailand, nor were the client staff in Thailand able to come back to Taiwan. So in the end, we decided to use the hybrid structure to complete the transfer. Because of this, we have been able to help the client to update their management information, and the information can also be shared simultaneously with their clients in the US. And of course, after the pandemic ends, we will be able to help the client to scale up the use of the system. Well, that's something we aim.
Oh, great story. Sorry for taking a bit of your time. But let's thank our presenters today, and hope you have a wonderful day today. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's once again thank the moderator and all our panelists. 那现在呢，我们想要致赠一些礼品给我们所有的语坛人。We would like to present some gifts to express our gratitude to the panelists. 好，非常感谢我们的主持人陈董事长以及我们所有的语坛人带来这么多精彩丰富的分享。好，我们将所有的礼品都致赠给我们这一场次的语坛人。好，非常感谢各位的经验分享。那现在呢，也邀请各位一起到舞台中央。We would like to take a group picture together. So I would like to invite all of you to be in the center of the stage. And please look at the camera in the front. And now the one in the back. 好，我们是不是再一次掌声感谢台上所有的语坛人以及我们主持人精彩的提问，谢谢 ，Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We now have a break until 4:10. 各位女士、各位先生，我们现在是中场休息时间，下一场次将会在4点10分开始，邀请各位准时回座。现场的外面呢？
我们台湾人用一把汗换你一杯回甘的茶，浓郁的樟脑熏得睁不开眼，还有记忆中黏腻又甜蜜的幸福滋味。早期的出口三宝，用甘苦撑起台湾的经济。黑瓶里装的甘醇，是传承好几代的坚持。如今一个个都成了名扬四海的品牌。不断淬炼自己的工艺，在沸腾中释放香气。摸索创新的路上，不轻言放弃。珍惜这座宝岛，回归这片土地，一点一滴凝聚成为航向世界的实力。创业精神注入新的科技，不论挑战如何艰巨，依然坚韧挺立。再怎么渺小，也要做到最好，才能成为梦想起飞的依靠。我们扛起对地球的责任，以彼此作为坚实的后盾，打造更多可能。我们也扛起对未来的想象，让创意加速奔腾。为环境出一份力，为社会尽一份心，与台湾企业共创新环境，追求卓越的路上，中小企业处与你一起成长，微小却伟大，中小企业，台湾骄傲。
今天的最后一个主题，体验经济合作心法，价值平台启动有感消费经验。Please join me in welcoming the moderator, Mr. Kevin He, the Chief Investment Office and Partner of TMI Holding Corporation. 让我们一起欢迎我们的主持人，台湾创意工厂何明燕投资长。Next, please welcome the panelists. 让我们一同欢迎与谈人。Mr. Daniel Chen, co-founder of Pandora, 应云科技陈靖宇共同创办人，欢迎。Mr. Parham Akron, CTO and co-founder of Kudo, 让我们欢迎 Kudo 共同创办人及执行长 Parham Akron. Next, please welcome Mr. Quake Shi, co-founder of Zigzag, 泽徐正共同创办人，欢迎。Mr. Peter Yan, CEO and co-founder of Pincoin, 果益科技公司严君婷创办人及执行长，欢迎。好，我们欢迎4家国内外典范企业，他们将跟我们进行分享。And now I turn the floor over to our moderator, Mr. Ho.
Thank you very much. I want to thank SME first for having me to moderate this great event, especially this session. You can see that we have 4 distinguished speakers. They have tons of experience in terms of company progress. And as well as that, you can see that they are all very young generation. It's a very nice opportunity for me to mingle with them. I want to explain the topic for this session first. It's powering the experience economy and the way to forming value creating partnerships with a cross-sector platform. Towards my understanding, I would say that so-called experience economy is talking about from the product building to the experience sharing or delivering. So we always talk about how we can build a nice product, but the same way that we need to pay more attention about the experience, from the user experience to customer experience, as well as the value that we want to create in. For this session, we have the panelists from different fields, but they are all doing something related to creativity, from IP, crowdfunding, as well as the design, and especially our foreign speakers from the language. Everything actually, since it's a cloud native generation, and they are all built their product on top of the platform. So it's very nice for them to provide something on top of the platform, as well as that they can make very nice connection with the partnerships. So let's get started for them to introduce themselves as well as their company. The first one, we will have Daniel, the co-founder from QT Pandora. Daniel, first.
大家好，我是
Good afternoon. I'm the co-founder of Pandora. Pandora is a startup that tries to combine designers with distribution channels. So we help designers to monetize their designs. I think in this industry, we can monetize the context, the content, the image, design, and the IP merchandise is a very important way to monetize one's designs. However, Taiwan was pretty much a laggard in this regard. That's why we began this business 8 years ago. Nowadays, in addition to working with local designers, we have also secured the more well-known IP, such as Chibi Maruko, a Japanese comic character. So we have been able to replicate this IP merchandise in many different fields. However, this kind of IP merchandising is very different from Mickey Mouse type of IP merchandise. Now it's pretty much fragmented. I believe nowadays each generation is very, very short in terms of duration. Maybe every 5 years you see a different generation. So very often each so-called IP may appeal to a smaller and a smaller number of audience. That's why I say fragmentation is a characteristic of today's IP merchandise sector. In addition, we know that there are more means of disseminating information. In the past, you could use TV or movies to reach your fans, but now with YouTube, vlog, and self-media, there are more diverse means of reaching your fans. Therefore, you have to choose the right channels so that you can expand your fans base. And of course, there are two systems of IP merchandise. For potential IPs, basically, we have this so-called print-on-demand system. In other words, it is only when we receive a request or an order will we begin to print the IP merchandise or product. In this case, we can entertain requests from each and every designer whenever the demand arises. But we have another product line development department. In this department, we specialize in developing popular IP into a wide range of products. Channel management, we know that O2O is becoming more and more prevalent. So in addition to our Fendora shop, we also try to have some physical presence. As long as the designer is very popular, we will help him to reach even greater number of fans and potential audience. For example, we may organize physical flash stores. In the end, it's going to be like a tunnel. Basically, this is a inverse pyramid. At the bottom, there are only 2,000 popular IPs, which have the potential to be developed into thousands of items for sale. For fans of these IP designs, you can have access to a wide range of products. So we serve as a bridge between designers and fans. This is what we do at Fendora.
For you, because a lot of companies actually want to, a lot of people want to start their own company, and I'm always curious what's the first day, what's the idea at the very first day. So how long have you got the popular IPs like monetized, and then you switch to like a potential IP? 就是说你从什么时候从 popular IP switch 到 like a potential IP? When? 就是多久？公司开始多久以后？
就我们一开始是做 potential IP 的。
At first, we focused on solely potential IPs. In 1 or 2 years, we realized that it seems that sometimes customers were not sure what they were looking for because they could not identify with IPs they were very familiar with. So Over time, we have identified designers who specialize in very unique designs. Some are good at designing memes, some are good at animal picture designs. So in the end, we realized that there are different approaches to monetizing designs created by different designers. That's why 2 years later, we decided to develop popular IP merchandise at the same time. Now, more focus is still on the popular IP merchandise because the profitability is higher. It seems that most companies are interested in IPs such as Hello Kitty or Elsa. So potential IPs or smaller IPs need to be served by companies like us.
Parham. Parham, you have the Chinese name like Peng Hao, right? So I can call you Peng Hao. He is the CTO and co-founder from Kudo. They are CTO, I'm sorry. So CTO, that he moved to Taiwan like last December, I guess. So they are doing like language as a service product. So can you share us about yourself and your company? Thank you.
Okay. Hi everyone, ni hao. All right. Well, my name is Parham, and I represent Kudo. I'm co-founder and CTO of Kudo. We started back in 2017. All right, so at our core, we help businesses, government agencies, or international organizations to just communicate better with partners that they have, their employees, or their clients. And we do that through language, which is one of the most basic elements of communication. And the first one. Next. So I just want to show you a 20-second experience of Kudo. It's one of our products that about 20% of our revenue on this.
中心，我们在各个群组当中都非常重视安全。我们要确保呢，在
être sûr que tout est que vous n'allez pas
recevoir de contenu préjudiciable ou de personnes qui
Right. So so this 20 seconds, and I'll explain a little bit more later. So these are the companies and organizations and government agencies that are trusting us. For example, Airbnb, CEO of Airbnb every week, he's presenting a meeting to all partners in 9 languages. AWS across the world are using our services. Facebook, Etsy, Ferrari, BHP, just name it. Those are large organizations and businesses. Also international organizations like United Nations, which is our biggest customer, and NATO, Interpol, and government agencies like Parliament of Europe, Singapore, US Department of State. So we have about 400 customers and clients, and those are all large organizations as of right now. So we are actually solving a major problem for international organizations, and which is we're helping them to save time, cost, and opportunity. It's extremely expensive to have a meeting, physically or virtual, with language interpretation. So I gotta go a little bit faster. So basically we are a language as a service. Look at us as like Zoom and WebEx of the world, with one little difference, and that little difference is our company, which is the language between participants. So we have 2 major products, web meeting or web conferencing, sometimes it's called, and live events. Live events is like this one, where a couple of people talk and other people, they listen. which it's about 20 to 25% of our business. The rest is web meetings, web conferencing. Those are small meetings, 4 to 20 people across the table, and multiple languages. Sometimes in one table we have 14 languages. Common use cases are board meetings, employee training, keynote speech, and so forth. So how does it work? So the way it works is that the client creates, this is not a self-service system. So still a lot of logistics goes behind it. It's not like Zoom, which you can click. So you create a meeting, and then after that, all the participants and interpreters, they get notified with a link, and then the meeting starts. You can have it in your mobile app. So basically, we are replacing these devices to some extent. So this is a little bit of our interpreter console, which is patented on the top left, and then on top bottom right, you will see participant console, which is something very casual. We have started 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, and right now we have 8,300 interpreters in our network, covering 64 languages in 35 countries. This was not our original business. We started as a platform company, but then customers, they pushed us for a turnkey solution. So we also have a meeting services that we help companies to work with us. Our pricing model is very flexible, subscription or pay-per-use, based on number of languages and users. So we are 3.5 years old, 40 employees in 15 countries. We're fully remote since day one, so pandemic hasn't changed us. 400 clients in 30 countries, more than 8,000 interpreters. We just got 2 weeks ago a 6 million funding, which added to our first 1 million from VC Silicon Valley. And we are right now hosting 5,000 meetings per week, amounting roughly around 1.2 million minutes per day right now. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Parham. I have a question for you that, because you mentioned about you have like more than 400 clients right now, right? You have more than 400 clients, right?
Well, we have 400 clients direct, but we also have 20 partners, and these partners, through these partners, we have another 300 to 400 surrogate clients. So those are not our clients; those are their clients. So we have, yeah.
So who is your first customer? And was that
United Nations, World Bank, IMF?
Was that in your original plan?
Oh, first customer or biggest customer?
The first one.
The very first customer was who was the very first? I don't know the very first customer.
Are they still in the list?
What is that?
The first customer.
The very first customer.
Okay, you can answer.
I don't remember the very first customer. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. Then we will go to the next speakers, Quick, from Zeze. Quick is the co-founder of Zeze, right? And it's the most popular crowdfunding platform here in Taiwan. So let's have Quick to share with us the company's development and himself. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. 这是一个就是
ZZEC is a crowdfunding platform, and it is actually riding on the wave of crowdfunding around the world. After 2020, ZZEC has become one of the most interesting mechanisms that might change the world. So we see that there are crowdfunding platforms around the world, but ZZEC is probably one of the first crowdfunding platforms that actually cover a wider range of sectors and industries. So as I said, ZZEC is a crowdfunding platform. It's a hub of various creative projects. We have probably about 20 categories on our platforms now, from products to even social charity or indie films or indie music. You know, these publishers and producers will try to crowdfund on our platform. So it's actually the biggest difference between us and e-commerce websites. So sometimes in other kind of platforms, you can buy a product, but on our platform, that money might not necessarily translate into actual products, but you might be able to fund and help a dream come true. For the past 10 years, we've actually raised 3.06 billion NT dollars. We have also attracted 9.5 million visits per month. There are about 3,000 projects on our website, and about almost 70% of the projects have been a success. Currently on our platform, as I said earlier, there are more than 1.3 million backers. So actually, there is a huge momentum, and this momentum can actually translate into a very solid foundation for further development. So as we have more and more backers and sponsors, we see that there are more and more options available from their feedback. For example, some of the new ideas can be implemented in some of the larger projects, and these are some of the feedback that we have received from sponsors, backers, and even the project launchers. On our platforms, in addition to the traditional crowdfunding services, we have now two new endeavors. One is that some projects initiators, they already have some kind of idea, but they can also come to our platform if they have suitable or fully developed and manufactured new products and take pre-orders via our platform before their actual product launch. In addition, some indie producers, they might not be able to create for example, a product or service within 60 days. For example, some comic producers or NGO or NPO participants, they might not be able to complete a project within a very limited time, so they can launch a subscription project, which is a monthly funding project of an ongoing project. So here you see some of the successful projects. For example, in the design field, there are very young designers who are able to monetize their graduation production and turn that into like a skateboard. And a few years ago, reducing plastic usage was one of a major trend in the society. So there was a hiding, what they called a hiding beverage cup. And there are also technology products. We might think that this product is something of the future, but they actually were realized and turned into actual products. For example, monitoring cameras that help parents monitor the activities of their babies. There are also art and publishing products, music and entertainment services and projects, or charity and community projects. So that is basically what is the crowdfunding.
Do you remember which project is your first one, or one of the few first ones?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the very first project in ZZEC is an illustrator. She is, I think, it's London-based Taiwanese illustrator, and she has kind of comic creation. I remember when I founded this platform, she came to me saying she's interested in testing this mechanism, and she set a very, very conservative target, which is 10,000 Taiwanese dollar. And it's very lucky we got the very first project, and it is a very successful project. So it gives us a confidence to moving on.
Thank you very much. So we will move towards the next speaker, Peter, the CEO and the co-founder from Pinkoi. So let's welcome Peter to share some of the company development and himself.
Hello. Hello, everyone. This is Peter. I represent Pinkoi. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pinkoi. For those who don't know Pinkoi, you can think of Pinkoi as the Amazon for design-centric product and brand in Asia. And we're very lucky to start in Taipei, and we do have many business operations in different major cities in Asia, starting from Tokyo, Taipei, Hong Kong, Shanghai, and also Bangkok. So I'm going to spend like a very quick few minutes to introduce what is Pinkoi. Okay, so in the day one of Pinkoi, I think our founding team believe there's a very important belief that we think the design can be a universal value. And so that's why we set the mission. We want to help the many design brands in Asia to become a world-class brand, to help them into the international market and also scale up the design ecosystem. So, and I think the ultimate goal is we want to make the design to become universal value and also enrich people's life. So yeah, so Pinkoi, we are online marketplace. On the day one, we think there's many great brands in Asia, but there's many consumers, they don't not necessarily know where they can find the product. So I think our initial thought was very easy. We just built an internet company, and we believe that the internet can connect those consumers and also the brand owner together. And in the past 9 years, we have been successfully serving customers from 93 countries worldwide, and we are empower around 18,000 brands to go to the international market. And as time goes by, Pinkoi kind of start to develop new business model. We are not just only a marketplace, we're also selling digital creation and also unique workshop. So our strategy is very simple. We plan our strategy around helping brand to become a world-class brand. So as a start, the first one is we want to help the brand to more commercialize, to connect them to the market, to the consumer. And then when they have enough footprint, we help them to scale up to more productions. And eventually we want to help them to enter the global market. So that's our 3-step: commercialize, scale up, and globalize. And this is a quick number about Pinkoi. We're serving customers from 93 countries. The current membership base is about 3.5 million worldwide, and we're helping 18,000 designer brands on Pinkoi. And I think most of our transactions happen on mobile device. And we do support 6 languages and many payment methods that I cannot really remember. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. Thank you.
Thank you. My question for you is that did you have the candidate for those projects put on your platform first, or you get some idea how to build a platform and then invite the other like the designer to come in?
So your question is asking when on the day one of Pinkoi, we are kind of two-side market, right? Buyer and seller, and which one we go for first?
Yeah.
Okay. So for Pinkoi, our strategy is always going for the seller first. I think it's always a chicken egg problems. But I think at that point of time, even right now, we still believe that the most important thing that consumer pursue is about great content. And that great content in Pinkoi translates into great brand and product and experience. So we always go in that direction, try to get the best content, best brand on Pinkoi. And once we have the best content, and people will come. So that's how I believe.
Thank you. The reason why I have the first page of the question for all the speakers, because they all start from a very like a small company, so they have to finish the first job, especially for the customers or the partners. So that's why I want to. I'm always curious about what kind of the job they have done for the customer. That's the value they provide in the very beginning for the partners, either partners or customers. And then, well, that's the mission for the first day whenever you want to start the company. So I will extend this question to the first question for our panelists. That I want to illustrate more in terms of like experience economy towards the ecosystem economy. The ecosystem economy actually is different from that we always mention in Taiwan traditionally about like supply chain, because we are more focused on like value chain, how to deliver the value through on top of our platform, and then build the value on top of our job done for our customers. And then the next level, we will think about how we can gather all kinds of partnerships to help us to at least finish the job and then make the job better. And then we will think about how we can have a guidance to invite all kinds of partnerships into our ecosystem. That's my like explanation about the ecosystem economy. And the ecosystem economy is different from the ecosystem that we talk about traditionally in Taiwan, like 供应链. No, it's not the 供应链. It's the ecosystem you want to build for your company since the day one. So you have done the job for your customers, and then think about that, how you can invite more partners to help your job better with like a very like raise the value, and then build out a value proposition, and then like build an ecosystem or on top of your platform and share the benefit as well as the revenue. So the first question for all the panelists that I would ask like one by one, but it's all about you can share more about the job you have done for your customers, especially the key account, okay? The question for like Daniel is that you work with a lot of illustrators, and then you have a great e-platform. So please share with us, how do you find ways to reach the most people and give them the experience that they want? That's the first question for you. And the question for Paham is that Kudo can accommodate any language with up to like 32 languages, right? So so can you how does it manage the fellow interpreters all over the world and establish an efficient communication network in no time? As you said, it's not a self-service. I'm curious about that. Can you share us about that more and further? The question for Craig would be that, well, we want to know that the trend for the crowdfunding, but especially what's your observation about is there any like new job or something that you want to make your mission better for your customers, okay? And for Peter, that we know you have a lot of successful brands that have built to build a ecosystem like you have tons of like achievement and project on top of your platform. So which consists like a myriad of products and services under your platform. So can you share your viewpoint on how e-commerce changed the business environment in like global markets, but actually Taiwan is different from the others. But as far as I know, that you have some overseas project you can share with us about that. Okay, thank you very much.
我觉得
在那个 IP 这个 Well, the IP industry is quite interesting. Each IP is unique. So if I want to expand the reach of an IP, the first thing I want to do is to identify the most suitable outlets for monetizing the IP. For example, some designers may tell us that I would like to turn my IP into products, but after analysis, we may tell the designer, well, producing products based on your IP may not most profitable for you. Maybe you can have some streaming business instead. For example, for some watercolor products, maybe you need to turn it more cartoon-like before it can be turned into a commodity. So we have to help the designer to identify the most suitable and adequate way for monetizing his or her design. So we will try to provide such coaching and mentoring for the designer. By so doing, we can help the designer to expand the reach of his IP.
Hi. To answer your question, the very first approach that we did, we spent around 15 months of development at the very beginning, and we started with an assumption that we fairly knew what we needed to do. So here it's a very antiquated and old market called interpretation through this kind of devices, and it's hardware solution, it's client and software solution. That means interpreter had to be inside the premise and inside the building. So we started with this assumption. There are software already there, like Bosch, like the one that we're using today. So we started to mimic this and put this into cloud and into mobile. So that was our first work, which took about 15 months. Then after that, so to answer your first question, so that was our foundation. Then our first client was actually ITU, International Telecommunication Union, is part of United Nations, and it was a successful project. But behind the scene, we acted extremely in a very basic way, and it was very hard for us. We worked around the clock because it was our first customer. So what we did is we have been extremely. After the launch of our first version, we became extremely customer focused. And our customers are big customers. And failure is not an option in terms of availability of the product, but also they have their own features. If they don't use those features, they don't have their features that they want, they pretty much go back to this traditional model. Companies like Zoom and WebEx and BlueJeans, they don't have what we have. So they go back to this. So we really had to listen to them. So this is what we did for our customers. One of them, to turn our SaaS model, software as a service, into something called PaaS, platform as a service, meaning that the entire platform, we're giving it to them because of security and confidentiality. Your second question is how interpreters, they communicate. So since we replicated the entire system, interpreters are all remote. See, right now, interpreters in this meeting that there's a gentleman and a woman that I heard, they are in this building somewhere. The way we do our interpretation is that all the interpreters, the same interpreters that are interpreting right now, they can be in Brazil or they can be in Russia. So if they need to communicate, we have special systems for them. They know it. We call it handover. We call dual listening. We have very specific features for them to communicate, and they have a chat system to work with each other in order to coordinate an interpretation for a meeting. Thank you. Thanks.
我这边的问题是，就是群众集资的趋势。
Well, what is the trend for crowdfunding going forward? I think this has a lot to do with the macro environment we are in. So every 3 months, you may get a different answer to the question. But I think as a platform, we need to know what value we are creating. First of all, when we set the platform, we thought all decisions will be made on consensus basis. So you may be a backer or a sponsor, and you chip in the decision-making process. So over time, I think we have forged some consensus. That is, through crowdfunding, the backers and sponsors believe what they pay for actually will give them back more. In other words, by being a backer or a sponsor, you are paying for something that is bigger and greater than the product you may get in the future. So the spirit of crowdfunding is really about the imagination about the future. At the beginning of this year, there's a project about a mascot. We know that this mascot is a toad-like animal, and toad in the Chinese culture symbolizes prosperity. So the person who proposed the project in the proposal said that, well, how come in many stores and shops you could see a cat figurine, which is actually an image imported from Japan, which symbolizes prosperity? How come we cannot come up with our own mascot for prosperity? So when we talk about the trends of crowdfunding, we can take a step back and think about what kind of future we are trying to create by chipping in a particular project. Maybe we want to reinforce our local culture. We want to revive our local cultural identity, or contributing to economic development. Or perhaps we try to make the world a better place. So I think that's something the crowdfunding can always contribute to.
My question was, as a global e-commerce player, what kind of value would bring to the market? Okay, so I think for online e-commerce platform, we are essentially solving the efficiency problems. And I think, for example, there are many brand owners on Pinkoi that used to sell their product in the offline market over the weekend. But when we build this platform, online platform, they can effortlessly put their product on our marketplace and then selling to many different customers from different countries. They solve a huge efficiency problems. They can use a very small effort, and they can market and sell their product across the country. I think that's the first efficiency that we create. I think for from the consumer point of view, consumer is always looking for high quality and best product, try to enrich their life. So I think Pinkoi solved the consumer problem by having a very easy access to the best quality product in Asia. So a consumer can just open the Pinkoi app on their mobile phone, and then they can just search their keyword, and they can look at the customer review to understand the quality of the product, and then they can just purchase the product online with free shipping. So I think and they can expect the delivery in a few days to their doorstep. So I think there's another efficiency problem that we solved. But I think in the long run, for a global e-commerce player, I think there's two important keywords that we need to keep in mind. Number one is the selection. I think in the future, going forward, I think the selection and the quality will be the two most important keywords. The e-commerce player won't be competing about how many SKU you have, but I think in the future, a global e-commerce player will compete in what kind of selection and high quality product you have on your platform. Because customers always want to get the best quality of product. They don't want to go to 1 billion product and then find the only one. Take a long time. They want to go to 1 million product or maybe 1,000 product and find the best one. So I think that's the value we try to create to the customers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That you see that our speakers share about tons of ideas that help their project to be successful. It's so-called like behind the scene, because on top of the platform, there's tons of things that you need to arrange to get all the partners or your internal teams cooperated. So we mentioned about that, the tons of IP and different IP that you need to help them to have some different imagination how to monetize what's the best way to do that. And the perhaps that they arrange like the chat room to help them to talk to each other. That's something behind the scenes, but very important for them to have to get the job done with the good quality like that. And in that the efficiency, the higher efficiency. Well, it's something that it's not only about the functionality on top of your platform. It's the value to the customers, and also that the future imagination. It's really tough, but you need to get it done on top of your platform, and maybe within like 1 or 2 minutes engagement meeting to get them realize what kind of value that you can bring on top of their original idea. So it's really tough, but that's the secret weapon that how you get your the first project succeed. And the next page I want to go to, because you want to arrange tons of things happen and co-work with each other. Then you do need to get the partners at night. So then the next ones that I want to go to the partnerships. That for Daniel, that what kind of a process was used to determine whom to include in the partnerships. And the question for Paham, how does Kudo audit the interpreters, how to build the value creating partnerships, and drive the corrective actions process through the platform. And the question for Quake, how to use the right tools in the crowdfunding campaign, especially that if there are some tools to help the partner get to work with you. I know that you cooperate with different companies to do that. And then for Peter, that a lot of the designers know about Pinkoi and willing to list on your platform. So what's your marketing strategy to achieve the company goals within a service ecosystem on a digital platform? Since you are really nice platform, you have some different advanced features, so can you share with us something about that? Okay, thank you.
我们应该是在做3个。
I think although we're a platform, but we actually need to touch upon a lot of issues regarding manufacturing and distribution, selection. So when we select partners, whether they be IP partners or distributor partners or channel partners, we actually have different criteria. For example, for IP, we have our own criteria, but because of our system, I think we're actually quite open. So as long as you have the IP, we basically will allow you to test your product sales, and if you are able or actually willing to work with others, then of course we will allow you to involve more. So if your commercial value is high and you are also very willing to invest on this platform, then we're of course willing to promote your IP and monetize your IP. So this is basically in terms of the IP holders. As for commercialization, because now we lower the quantity and everything is more customized, therefore we want to find vendors that not only have the ability to do this in time-wise. At current times, I think there are a lot of vendors actually are now are actually quite nimble. There are some vendors who probably do not possess this ability now, but because they already have very good products, therefore we will assist them in trying to kind of adjust their business model, so they will produce more customized or bespoke products rather than this kind of mass manufacturing. As for distributors and sales channels, a lot of distributors, they actually really don't know other fields. They don't know what they're doing because everything is changing so fast. So sometimes we will have these pop-up stores in, for example, department stores or creative cultural parks. These kind of pop-up stores will allow these distributors to better understand what this business model is like. If that case is successful, then actually all kinds of distributors will come to us. For example, last year we went to a sleep bookstore and had a pop-up store, and every week there will be department stores from all over Taiwan inviting us to go there. So I think this is actually very interesting, and of course we would also look at whether or not these department stores are willing to support these IP holders, and whether or not a particular IP is suitable for their distribution channel. So we actually have different criteria for different partners.
Your question was, how do we audit interpreters? So before jumping into this, there's a clear difference between an interpreter and a translator. Something that we are not in the business of translation, we're in the business of interpretation, simultaneous interpretation, just like the one that you hear today. So that's like a foundation for this question. We did not start the company as a service company. We are a product company, we are a software company, and we started as a platform. We're software as a service, but as a software company. But then more and more companies, they pushed us, our clients, they pushed us to give them turnkey solution. Then overall, being in a service business where I come from, it's not a good thing overall because margins are lower. But then we started doing that because we started to handhold our clients from the beginning through the end. And it really worked for us. And so that's one thing I have to share is that you cannot get one model and apply it. You have to find your own model in your own business. So that's something that we learned, and we were very nimble and quick about it. So we then started with 3 interpreters in-house, intern interpreters. Now we have 8,300 interpreters in our network, the largest in the world. Even APEC, they call them, which is a body of interpreters. They have half a number of interpreters that we have. So these interpreters, they come to our system and to our platform that they get trained. And once they get a contract, we vet them additionally, and we make sure that they do the proper job based on industry. For example, some of them are for electronic industry, some legal, they have some specializations. So that's how we audit them, and then there is a rating process and so forth, and if the client is happy or not. So that's to your first question. The second question is about how we correct ourselves. Well, as a startup, we constantly and on a daily basis, we fail. Something that a lot of people don't like to hear, but we constantly fail every day. However, we make a little bit more progress on a daily basis. So, and then we loop back these failures and then we correct our system. In terms of interpretation, it's not a big part of our business. It's roughly, right now, it becomes on 25% though, but it's not the biggest part of our business. So we are making sure that they know our product better, and then we communicate those things better to them. However, in terms of our product, we constantly listen to customers, and if we hear a feature more than 3 times or 1 time from a big customer, we usually are very nimble and agile to make that customer happy to the extent that it doesn't derail us from our direction. Okay. Thank you.
And quick.
提到your question was asking about the tools that crowdfunding platforms need. Well, actually, crowdfunding actually started as we all hold the belief that we trust the crowd. So we don't necessarily believe we need a certain tool. However, we need a shared value, and that is, we hope that these transaction behaviors can shape a future for all these design brands or these different project initiators. Therefore, I think we actually need some kind of education. We need to have good content. We need to be able to communicate our beliefs with our sponsors and backers. So that is why we have all these full set of data. We try to understand what kind of content is more popular, and how long does a film needs to last in order for people to be willing to see its entirety. So that's why these data started popping up, or we started analyzing these data. And of course, most of the project initiators are individuals. They are small companies, or they have indie projects. There are MPOs. But on our online training platform, we want to push everybody to use what we call a pilot tool, or some kind of preparatory tool. So before you launch a product, you need to know what is your target audience, what kind of story can you tell, how do you tell these stories. And with these kind of tools, I think these project initiators have a better understanding of how to use these tools to help them launch more successful projects. And fortunately, whenever a project initiator comes, we will first ask them, what is your goal? If you want your story to be correctly conveyed, then what you probably need is to find a good partner that can help you shape your content so that you can, share your belief. If you need everybody to know your project, then you probably need someone who is very good at marketing, so that you will have bigger traffic and more exposure. So there are actually all kinds of tools that you can use. But I think what is important is to first identify what is your strength and what you really want to achieve through this project.
The question was, what is our marketing strategy to attract more seller in Pinkoi? Okay. Honestly, we haven't put any advertising money to attract sellers. I think it's essentially about word of mouth. And I think if there's any good marketing strategy, I think it's about the team effort. I think our team, the Pinkoi team, we do have a dream and we have passion to empower brand to become a global brand. And then when we see this kind of real case, we communicate a lot. We tell our friend, our community, press media about the successful story of a brand, a Taiwanese brand that sell very well in Japanese market. So we continue to share this kind of story. And I think for every brand or designer, they do have a dream. they do have a dream that one day they can become a well-known international brand. And I think our team has been trying very hard, relentlessly, to push those brands to become a global brand. And those stories become, I think, the best marketing strategy for our platform. Thank you.
Okay, really nice. That Peter mentioned about like team effort. So the last round of the question, I actually I want to ask about the ecosystem, but it's very hard to build an ecosystem. But fortunately that we have all 4 companies building their service on top of platform. So the question for all the panelists would be that, how do you manage some kind of features into the platform or keep it customized like offline, as an offline arrangement? Do you have any like guidance you want to manage that? Because we are all have a very nice platform, but we have teams effort and the partners collaboration, right? So how you make a judgment, what kind of function or service to be included in your next generation of platform, and how to, and what else to keep them like as a offline work, like that. Okay, the first one forward, Daniel.
应该说还是会 I think it all boils down to consumers' demand. Especially in terms of what we call the fans economy. Fans do have their preferences. For example, they want either trickle down experience. They don't want everything to come at the same time. Sometimes they want more intensive exposure with these services and products. So there are 2 kinds of fans. One likes, very high frequency, the other more intermittent frequency. And therefore we have different fan groups. So when you want to create a trend, you probably need to be more intensive. For example, there might be a product that are sold quite well in physical stores, but if you have pop-up stores, you can probably sell a higher volume in 4 days than a whole year in the physical store. So this is the difference between different groups of fans. So when you look at your numbers, you will realize that there are these different groups, and there might be fans that want different ways of marketing. So that would help us determine which products go on to the
We frantically listen to our customers. So my answer is very simple. First, we listen to customers, and then second, we see if it is aligned with our vision. If it is aligned with our vision, so it's a no-brainer, we will execute upon it. Sometimes as fast as a week, sometimes in a cycle, a product life cycle of 3 months. So that's one. If it is not something in our vision, we discuss it. We don't want to lose opportunities as well. At the same time, we don't want to be derailed too much from our mission. So this comes down to a discussion, and we did, however, in the world of software, there is something called NRE, as in like non-recurring engineering cost. So sometimes there are customers that they need something, and we assess that, and we say, well, this is not in our vision, but we'd like to have it. At the time that we needed money, right now we don't, but at the time we needed money, we did 2 NRE, as in, and then we charged customers like $200,000 US, and then we build a feature for them. So yeah. But one of the things that we did, I'll be quick on this one. Sometimes we really don't know. We have a feature in our product called polling, like a survey. And you take it for granted that it's super simple, check mark, yes, no, and all these things. However, our polling system, because a customer asks specifically for that, and now it becomes the de facto product for all governments in Europe, for 23 countries of EU, and that's like very important. And now it is so important that we are separating this product from our core, and it becomes a product unto itself. So you see, that was something that we didn't anticipate. We listened, and then we saw a trend, and now it becomes a big money maker for us as well. So it really depends.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Quick.
Speaking of the ecosystem, what is our vision? We used to think of ecosystem in the world of crowdfunding in this way. That is, what's the percentage of the fund that can be collected by the platform as service fee, and what tools would there be? So in other words, it's like there's a piece of a pie. How big a piece of pie can we get? But now we are thinking about how we can grow our business beyond the pie. In other words, there's an ecosystem, but if we include new partners, include the ecosystem, maybe the pie can grow bigger. Or there may be other regional markets, or maybe before your idea materializes, there are angel investors who are willing to invest in this idea. So you don't even need to leverage the crowdfunding platform yet. In other cases, maybe there are distributors who are proactively looking for products to sell at their outlets. In this case, they are new leads outside the existing pie or the existing market. In this case, we can grow and expand.
I think the question was, how do we continue to involve the ecosystems on the Pinko ecosystem? I think I want to echo to Parham about listening to customers. So in Pinko, we have a team called Designer Relations Team. So the mission of the team is to, they have a very regular meet-up with the designer to understand what kind of problem they're having right now. Because we think in different stage of the business, the brand may encounter different problems. So when they were small, the problem may be very easy to solve. But when the business is getting larger in scale, the problem will become more complex. So our designer relations, they spend time listening to customer, to our sellers' pain point, and then they bring those kind of insight into our team. So for example, when Pinko started to explore international market 3 years ago, our designer told us that, okay, Peter, it's very difficult to configure international shipping on Pinko platform. And we don't really know how to set the international shipping. We don't even know how to choose the international carrier. So after we understand this is a huge problem the designer is having right now in the ecosystems, and we want to solve that. Not only Taiwanese designer, but also Japanese designer as well. So we bring this kind of insight into our team. We do a lot of customer focus group interview, and then we redesign our UI UX for international shipping. And right now they have a better tool. They can easily configure international shipping on Pinko, and that solves a lot of pain points. So I think continue to listen to the customer feedback and using data to kind of guide our direction is very important to involve our ecosystems. Another example, if you are a frequent visitor to Pinkoi, you will see the picture on Pinkoi website getting larger. So previously, I think last month, when we show the search result, each row we have 5 products. But right now, each row we only have 4 products. But the product picture is getting larger. So it's actually an improvement from the customer point of view. I think the customer told us that they are not very, I think the browsing experience on Pinkoi is not very enjoyable because the picture is too small. Okay, and then we kind of not sure because when we have in this kind of customer feedback and when we will look at data to see, is it really true? Because I think Ford, Henry Ford, there's a saying that if customer want a faster horse, but they build a car. So customer is not always right. We need to kind of process it. So our team process it about the browsing experience is not very enjoyable because the photo is too small, and then we do an A/B test. And then the experiment shows a very good result on a larger photo that actually increase more interactions from the customer point of view. And that interaction can bring more transaction and for the sellers, which is beneficial for the whole ecosystem, beneficial for the customer, and then it brings good result to the sellers. And I think that's kind of the thing that Pinkoi team has been doing on a daily basis, how we evolve the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. To go further to like something I want to share, but we are running out of time. Because like a lot of data-driven solutions currently available in the market, so it's actually very easy for you to get like the customer insight visible, and then try to think about what's the most meaningful action you might take, and then get the customer engaged to fulfill the best job that we want to offer. So today actually we still have tons of like I still have tons of questions that I want to get more like input and then share their experience, but unfortunately that we are running out of time. But before I conclude this session, as we said that they mentioned about listen to customer and the supporting team and the like designer relation team. There are tons of like offline jobs that get this event happen. So I want to thank SMEA again for this arrangement, and the MC as well as the support team in the back as well, because they are the most important the members for this kind of event to get all things happened. And let's have a round of applause for them for their great work first. Thank you. And the last but not least, please help me to give a round of applause for our great panelists. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ho, for your wonderful moderating, and also all the panelists for your stimulating sharing. And now I would like to invite all of you to step forward. We've also prepared gifts to express our gratitude, and we would like to have Mr. Ho present it for us. 好，我们再一次非常感谢何投资长今天精彩的主持，以及我们4位国内外典范企业跟我们进行精彩的分享。那我们再一次感谢掌声，感谢我们每一位讲师精彩的演说。好了，我们也邀请所有讲师一起来合影。也非常感谢在座每一位观众今天的参与。好，我们是不是请台上的贵宾再一次看向我们前方的摄影镜头呢？Okay, once again, look at the camera in the back. 好，我们后方比较远的那一个摄影镜头。Okay, thank you so much. 谢谢，非常感谢所有的讲者。Thank you so much to all speakers for your sharing. 2020 APEC Cross-Sector Innovation Ecosystem Conference has approached the ending. 今天我们跨域创新生态系国际论坛到此圆满成功。再次提醒各位有租借我们翻译口译机的来宾们，请记得要将你们的口译机